Madam Speaker, and the presiding officers that you lead, Madam Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Honorable Frolik, and the secretaries also are here of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces, and the new secretary, the Speaker, will talk about him. Honorable Didiza, who is the House Chairperson responsible for internal arrangement, is not able to be with us because she deputizes me at the PAMET Medical Aid Scheme. And we've got a board meeting this morning, which is still continuing. So, Madam Speaker, and to Ndate Thabo, she said I should pass her apologies to all of you because she's carrying out the responsibilities I should have been carrying out, she says. I would like to add my words of welcome to Ndate, our spokesperson here, Ndate Jacobs, to all of you, that in fact he's correct when he says this is one of the issues that we've thought we must have. The fourth sector is an important part of our institutional landscape in the country. Madam Speaker and the Chief Justice and the President constitute the threesome around which the three arms of the state revolves. The fourth sector is a crucial part of that institutional landscape. So when we talk about and reflect about the past 20 years, our reflection must be inclusive of that environment within which we are operating. It's a crucial part of the environment. I thought as part of my welcoming you here today, I should be a little personal. This year, 2 people died. One of them more recently is Ian Player, the conservationist, and Ali Mazrui, the Kenyan intellectual who died recently. I thought I must talk about them because in the late 70s, when I arrived in Durban, in a strange environment in my life, I couldn't speak a syllable of Zulu. So it was very important that I read and listen to everything around me to be able to understand what's happening. So the media was a very important source of my information for that purpose. I used to read the Daily Mail every day, and the stories of Ian Player and the late Makhubu Ntombela, who was the man who got him to understand the wild, the life of animals and their characteristics, used to make my day every day. So when he dies today, an important part of me died as well. I used to have a small radio in the back room of the house in which I used to stay. It was strategically located because I could get the BBC, which used to publish Radio Lesotho, so that I keep my language alive. And that's where I first heard Ali Mazrui, who he is, and his Wreath lectures that BBC published those years. I owe part of my knowledge and understanding and the relationship with the media to those events. And also, most importantly, I think they illustrate to me the value it added in my life. But there's another reality. Madam Speaker, I didn't know Zulu, as I said, completely. But the people I worked with forced me to read it because they said, but you have some knowledge about the media. This is what you must do. So I was at breakneck speed, had to learn to speak the language. I used to try and read it and not understand a lot of it. But I also know that at one stage we organized 3 buses to go and protest against the editorial policy of the late Obed Kunene, who was the editor of Ilanga then, and he used to come from my township in Lamontville. Because the letters that we used to write objecting to the threatened incorporation into KwaZulu-Natal were not appearing in his newspaper. And despite our attempts to talk to them, they didn't realize that we meant business. So we decided to go and protest right in front of the building with 3 busloads of activists, very angry. The week that followed, many of our letters started appearing one after the other because they brought copies of those letters. I'm pointing this particular incident and the earlier ones to illustrate the reality of our relationship with media in our activism work, but also that the media serves a very important role. But sometimes also it can do other things that obviously by any standards are not acceptable. So as an institution and its significance in our political life and in the country, there are very good things that we each do that we contribute towards achieving what is in our constitution now. And so today's purpose is really to talk about how can we ensure this relationship works out in our collective best interests. Now, what this means is about doing what you yourself do according to your own mandates, but also carrying it out with a realization that we too, because this is to state the blinding glimpses of the obvious, have a mandate to do certain things and do them according to the mandate that we have. And we can only do our best when we each do what we are meant to do appropriately, relating well with one another, and that there might well be things that get into the way. There's no question about that being human beings. I can't speak about any other beings because I only know human beings. And so we do make mistakes. So how do we relate with one another in the best possible way? How do we build this relationship so that it feeds into the greater usefulness that I described earlier on in every citizen's life? So today's purpose is really that. And the main purpose is that really. So the issues that we would like to give priority is those issues that strengthens and cleans up our relationship, and where we must talk about perhaps where things didn't go so well, what process we must engage in to deal with them. I must, right at the beginning, also say that, if I may call you by your names, Thabo, Paul, and Jolene, in the leadership of this, and Janet Head, that the teams that you lead and that you work with collectively is absolutely, unless you were told otherwise or you experience otherwise, absolutely welcome in this environment. There's no way we would have loved to monopolize the scene outside here at the garden. But that in carrying out your task here, your welcome as our guests, it's always important to take care of your landlord. The landlords have a tendency to choose, you know what, this tenant is problematic. He's not paying his rentals, he doesn't pay it. When he pays it late, and causes me headaches. Creates troubles with my bank, because I also am not that well-to-do and so on. All I'm saying is that we owe each other to treat each other with respect and appropriately so, in order that the relationship grows from strength to strength. We are clear that this relationship is what is responsible partly for the environment that often others speak about. In other words, a friend of mine from the United States, when she left the country, said to me, you know what, some of the things that I'm hearing on your radio, I've never heard in the United States in any radio. It's the kind of things that are spoken about, I've never heard them. And so your country has great prospects if this is what's happening in your country. And so that's the kind of feedback that we have. In other words, if there's any good about our country that others appreciate anywhere else, it is also in no small measure because of the contributions that you guys make to that environment. So thank you very much. This is my way of saying welcome to this morning's session. And that, Jacob, this is your field. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, except that the landlord doesn't receive a lot of payment from the tenants. Thank you. I think I must just correct an omission at the beginning. Inadvertently, I omitted to introduce in our midst Ms. Mandlakazi Sigao, who is seated right there. Everybody, I hope everyone can see Mandlakazi. If you can wave at us, please. Thank you. Mandlakazi Sigao is the spokesperson for the Speaker of the National Assembly. Welcome, Mandlakazi. Thank you. Moving right along, Mr. Thabo Mokone from the PGA will now address us.
Brother, okay.